Now, many artists trace their initial outline. I do it because it speeds up my drawing process massively, and I would never be able to get out as many lessons as I do if I was spending hours doing complicated drawings. Okay? Others don't like drawing, they find it very stressful, they're not interested in learning to draw freehand, whatever. But you know, lots of people online especially, but also in real life, if you say to them you trace your outline, then all of a sudden they see it as you're cheating, well, you're just colouring in, you're not a real artist. To those, what I usually do is give them a circle, a drawing of a circle, and say, go for it. Let's see you create a hyper-realistic apple drawing or painting out of that. That usually shuts them up. But, you know, if you don't enjoy the drawing aspect, you don't need to do it. Don't think that it's cheating at all. The greatest artists in the world have done things like camera obscura, they've used proportional dividers, they've used mirrors and projection and all manner of things. So you don't have to worry about that. But something that is important to keep in mind, if deep down in yourself you feel like you're cheating by tracing, you don't feel a complete artist, if you can't draw freehand, then you need to do something about it. That's what this video is about. I'm going to show you how to draw freehand, how I draw freehand. I'll also cover some tools as well, like if you wanted to use proportional dividers, if you wanted to use a grid and things like that. So for all those that say that we're not real artists, if you can't draw, this video shows you how to draw. Hope you enjoy it. Got my reference photo on the left, and I'm doing this one quite small, okay, so it's more manageable. I've printed it out on decent printer paper, okay, so I've got some nice colours and things to work from later on. Now, what have I done? All I've done is put a line down the middle, both directions, but you can just freehand it. You can just go, you know, line of eye and estimate everything. But this is going to help, and I think lots of people would find this very helpful as well, because you're still going to be training your brain to judge one area against another, because that's what you want. If you want to get really good at freehand drawing, you've got to be able to judge and estimate and compare. That's really the word I'm looking for, compare one area against another. This is really going to help because you've got a starting point. It's quite a difficult subject, we've got lots of things going on. The first thing that you need to do is not be afraid of it, okay? We've got a piece of paper and a pencil. The only other thing we've got invested in this is a bit of time. Expect to go wrong, because we've got the ultimate tool that should comfort us, an eraser, okay? Just a simple eraser. This is not going to be my finished drawing. What I would normally do, because I need speed, because I'm a professional artist and I teach these lessons, I need to get this done quick. Okay, so what I would do is just trace this onto my pastel mat paper. The students can do it freehand, grid method, using tools like these that you can measure and compare, and I'll show you how to use this later on. Whatever way you want. But for me, I need to get to the actual laying down of the pastel really quick. Okay, so tracing just saves me a massive amount of time. But I know lots of people don't have to rush at all, which is superb. And they can, you know, start learning to draw as well, because it is a really nice thing to be able to do. So let's not be scared of it. Let's expect to make, let's not say mistakes, let's expect to have to re-evaluate the marks that we're making and adjust them, okay? Re-establish them, adjust them. So if I made a mark, say, there, and eventually as I'm putting other things in, I find, oh, that was too far, then I'll re-evaluate it and come in a bit further. I'm not expecting every mark I do, like say that one, to be a permanent mark that's going to be there forever. And the objective for me with this drawing is to just use cheap printer paper, and then once I've done the drawing and I'm happy with it, then I'll use this to trace onto the pastel mat, because I don't want to be drawing directly onto my pastel mat, because I absolutely don't want to be erasing on it. If I'm erasing on pastel mat, I'm going to probably get these plastic particles in there, and it may not go great. So without further ado, let's get started. So where can we start? You can start by doing a big circle for the head, or angles for the wings. There's lots and lots of different ways, and go with the one that you feel confident with. So first of all, because we've got this line, we've got areas where we can now judge where things are. So I know the top of the head is going to be around about there. I know that the wing edge there, I can use my pencil to measure, okay? And I can say, okay, the wing edge, let's go that way so you can see it, is going to be around about that far in. So I can put that in, I can make a mark. So I know the wing edge there is going to be roughly there. I can once again use the pencil, because don't forget, all the master artists, they used to do this hundreds of years ago. And when you see artists holding pencils up like that and they're working from a live subject, this is what they're doing. So I know now that, that's going to be roughly there. Like I said, let's do it all rough to start. We've got to start somewhere, okay, with our marks. And let's not rush it. Okay, let's take our time. You can fast forward the video if you want. Like I said, you can do this line of eye where you're just looking at big areas and working like that, or you can use your pencil. You can say, we can look at an angle there and say about 45 degrees, side of the head, it's going to be around about there. I tell you what, let's change these magnets to some flat ones, because they're going to get in my way. So I know now that if that is there and this is there, that comes out a little bit, then it kind of comes around a bit. Eventually it's coming up here. So you can make your big shapes. Roughly, I'm using a 2H pencil. You can use anything you want, but it's handy to have it, kind of light at the moment. And if I was doing a pencil drawing, I'd do these lines extremely light, okay? But it's easier for you guys to see on screen what I'm doing. Let me show you what this is. This one's called, it's hard to see, accuracy, okay, ACCURASSE. It's proportional divider. You can get loads of these. You see them wood format usually, rather than this plastic. So they're good because you're still training your eye to see things, okay? But rather than use that kind of mark like that, which can be a bit awkward to do, you can use these, come across, and do it that way, proportional dividers. The more you use them, so say I wanted to know where that point is, I can say, right, that's there, make a mark there, and it's coming in that amount, make a mark there, where they intersect, that's where that's going to be. You see, the more you use these, then the more it's training your eye to actually see where things live. So the top of the brown part of the eye is around there, the actual size of the eye. So you're using the line coming down, it's about there. The width of the eye is roughly that. We don't have to be perfect at all. Not at this stage. Let's just get things kind of in place so we've got something to evaluate from. So that looks really weird for for that to be there. It looks massively out of place, I think. But if we measure it again, so to the brown of the eye from the top of the head, spot on. So let's move along from there. Let's go more line of eye now, where we're estimating things. So the part of the eye is going to come around. See, it's like that. We can say that as we come down, about there we start to see that. There's feathers going like that. To judge in one area against another. Now, is it cheating to trace? You know what? I don't particularly care. When these people are making all different accusations, comments, things, having all these discussions, I'm busy enjoying myself, drawing, painting, creating art, making my lessons. But here's one thing I would say. If, for instance, you feel when you trace you are cheating and it's spoiling your hobby, or you know, it just doesn't feel easy, it doesn't sit easily with them, just draw it. You know, learn to draw, learn to do these things. And if that makes you feel better, great. We don't have to go preaching to everyone else about it, just do it. But it's not cheating when you think, well, people, let's look at this example as I carry on doing these judging in this area. So let's see, from the eye, the edge of the beak is around there. Let's check it. It's good to check things there. People say, well, if you were tracing, it's easy, all you're doing is colouring in. You've done your tracing, you're colouring in. Well, if it's that easy, see, I'm looking at that angle. The example I give them is a drawing I did that's really super realistic, hyper realistic, of an apple. And I just draw a circle on a piece of paper and say, okay, go for it. So if it's only colouring in, then you should be able to just, as I said, go for it and be able to draw a hyper realistic apple from just a circle. And obviously, unless you're a seasoned artist, that's not going to happen. Best thing to do is do what makes you happy. And if you've got time on your hand, like I said, learning to draw is really enjoyable. It's a challenge. See it as a challenge. And if you've never drawn freehand before, absolutely don't expect to get it right first time. Expect to get it wrong. Okay, so let's look at that. That really comes around, doesn't it? You wouldn't expect to ride a bike straight off and be perfect at it. Don't expect to be able to draw straight off and be perfect at it. So that's that part of the beak. So the other part of the beak goes like that-ish. Okay, so let's have a look at that for now. So yeah, it's going to take practice. Expect it to absolutely take practice. And then you won't be disappointed, because you're not wasting your time if it doesn't work. You're never going to be starting from the same position, the same point again as in experience. If something doesn't work exactly as you want it, next time you do it, you've got that new experience under your belt, so to speak. And next time you start from that place of knowledge, and so on, until you get better and better and better. So I'm judging always one area against another. Like I said, you can go big circle. If you like that freedom of drawing, doing a big circle, and then it can perhaps intersect it, you can draw like that as well. If you like to do, what I would say is, don't just go like a little eye, do the eye, get it perfect, and then go on and do the next bit, get it perfect, next bit, get it perfect. What you normally find then is by the time you get to the beak, perhaps, or the wing, it's like, hang on, something doesn't look quite right. What's wrong? And it's usually you've been so, you know, kind of wrapped up in details that you haven't got the things even in the right area. This way that I'm showing you now, we're working and trying to get things, the general area right first, general position of things right. Okay, so these feathers come out and out. That's going to come down there. Remember, this drawing is to help me do my pastels on top. So nobody's going to see all this pencil work that I'm doing now. I'll trace the outline, create kind of a line art to go onto my pastel drawing. So I don't need to be precious about this. If I do a big X through it, who cares? It doesn't matter. Right. No one's going to see it. So that white area there, I can say, you know, it's like it's going to be out around by here. This kind of intersects, doesn't it, through the eye. Right. So and this is a kestrel, by the way. I don't know if I've said that yet. We used to see these all the time by the side of motorways, looking in the hedges, or for lunch basically, hovering. Very distinctive bird that you'd see hovering. Don't see that hardly ever anymore, unfortunately. Right, kind of a sweep down like that. Let's practice on my hand. Sweeping down. This kind of sweeps down. Like that. That's where they. So you look for these big kind of shapes that we see on. Now, when you're thinking of accuracy as well, okay, some things are very important. Eye size, beak size, it's all got to relate, positioning. Okay, something like this, if the bird moved his head slightly or the chest slightly, or the angle of the camera was slightly different, this would be in a slightly different place. It's not essential that this is super accurate. Here, as I said, like getting things like the eye right. So that's going to scoop around, back up. And that's just indicating really for when I do my pastel pencils. Now, that's a basic shape. That didn't take long, did it? So let's go and use a HB pencil or a 2B. Let's sharpen up a 2B pencil. And if you want, now's a good time to double check things. If you want it really super accurate. Okay, so that's to there. That's close enough for my liking. Could come over slightly more, but that's close enough to that point there to there. Yeah, 2 millimeters out. Do I want to check the height of the beak? Could do. Let's look at it like that. A little bit too long, so let's just shave. A little bit off the top and the bottom. Now we can hardly see this on the reference, but it's good to be able to see it nice and easily, so that when I do the tracing from this, there's no mistaking where this is going to be. Don't forget, you know, when I put this on my pastel mat paper, I can make, and I will make, further adjustments. Right, so the nose and the little dot inside. Goes back a bit more of an angle there. Right, so this is going to come out. As I said, I'll reiterate again, I'm doing this for my pastels, so it's just going to be a tracing done from this. Accuracy of the shape is the most important. Fancy details I couldn't care less about. So that comes up there, and then we've got a kind of feathers go fluffy, break up around there. Now if you'd gone wrong, just use your eraser. Not a problem. Expect it. It's not going wrong, it's been slightly out. You can't train your eye to see differences if everything is perfect all the time. How are you ever going to be able to assess it? The better you get, and you don't have to practice tons either. It's observation, it's actually looking at things. I found sometimes, perhaps I haven't drawn or painted or whatever for a long time, you know, weeks, a couple of months. When I was years ago, I don't get that happening anymore. But if I was still doing things like looking at animals, looking at my photographs, I'd come back and all of a sudden, you know, or if you guys are watching my lessons, looking at my lessons, perhaps you're in a hospital or something, perhaps you're ill, you can't, for whatever reason, practice, do your own drawings, paintings. If you're watching the videos, it's all sinking in. You're still doing all this assessment, and when you come back, you find, wow, I thought I'd be worse now, and actually, very often, you're better. You think, well, why have I improved? I haven't even actually done anything. And that's the reason why. Because you're still making these connections in your brain. You're still training your eye and your brain to see things. So I'm assessing, is that, how wide does that need to be, for instance? Right, so as we come down here, I'm going to put these in because I want to know where these feathers are going to be situated in my drawing, in my pastel. So I want that kind of accurate. And then that comes out to about, I'm saying it's further than that, just. So it's further than that, just. So it's about there. That's where they live. And then it's going to be darkish out by here. Now if you want, you could just like cross hatch that. You can make this more detailed if you want, but you see what I'm ending up with is a line art. Another thing you can do do this twice. You know, if you've got a drawing that you want to do for your pastels, or if it's going to be a final drawing anyway, do it twice. Second time you'll find it easier. You'll find, oh, that's familiar now, because I've done it already a bit. I'm coming back to it. Now it's my hand-eye coordination is more accurate. Things are more familiar. Right, so in between, so I say around there, I'm going to get that chest piece there. Right, that's going to come down. You're going to work out there. This, if I look at that, it's going to swirl along from around there to there-ish. That's not an essential line. What I'm not going to do is all these lines. Okay, I could do that. That's going to take me ages, and either I'll just freehand it and go for it in the drawing, in the pastel drawing itself, or I may even, you know, for speed for myself, I may even trace it, because I don't want to be there for another hour getting those fairly accurate. Now, another thing to keep in mind is who you're doing a drawing for. Say it's a commission. If you're doing a commission for a falconer who knows his birds as much as he knows his children, then you better get these feathers right. Especially the, not ones like this, but you know when you've got, say, the wings open, you need to be counting those feathers, the big flight feathers, because these falconers are going to know how many feathers they've got, the exact colour, shape. You can't just guess it, right? But if your client is somebody who just kind of, I like birds of prey, like that, okay, that's not as critical. So that's going to come around there. Right. I'll use my eraser. Let's get rid of a little bit in the eye that I touched by accident. That's not the greatest eraser in the world. Terrible. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Let's use a putty eraser. As I said, this is, come on, up we come. This is all just for my pastel drawing. I think I'll chuck that eraser in the bin. That's a real cheapie that I found in one of my drawers. Now, is this perfect? Well, I bet you, it's not too far out, but I bet you if I put that, if I could project that on you or trace it or whatever, I bet you it's not perfect. I bet there's loads of areas that it's out. But by the time I've done the pastel, it'll probably look okay. Right. So I don't know how long I was drawing then. Let's have a look. 10-15 minutes or so. Didn't take very long, did it? But you take as long as you want. It's all about comparison. So don't forget, you can use Dividers, proportional dividers. These don't need to be expensive. You could do a grid. Put loads of lines down, as many as you need. When you're starting out, you need a lot. As you get better and better, you can do just like I've done. You could use proportional dividers to measure from there. You can measure with your pencil. You can just go for the big, huge shapes. What's the most important part? Don't fear going wrong. Expect it. Okay, so learning experience. It's always a learning experience. Now what I'm going to do from there, I'm just going to put some, well, what I'll actually do is use this, put it over the pastel matte paper. I'm going to use some light blue paper, put my transfer paper underneath and use this. I'll put a ballpoint pen on top and I'll trace this through to have that line, that outline on my pastel matte paper. So hope that's shown you that drawing freehand doesn't need to be super difficult, doesn't need to be really stressful. If you like doing it, it's wonderful to do. If you don't like doing it, don't do it. Okay, so hope that's helped.